Now the sublimation portion is done. Look how cute that looks. I love it. The only downside to doing a print cut and having to do this is that you're limited to Cricut's, you know, sizing that they have for their print and cuts, unless you're doing a silhouette, which would be probably much better. So now we're moving on to the sewing portion. So this sewing portion is gonna be fairly simple. So now we're gonna move on to our sewing portion. So we're gonna start off by taking one of our main fabric pieces and one of our linings, and we're gonna line it up at the top edge. Just line up those edges, lining up our corners, and we're going to clip all the way across. Once you have clipped it all the way across, you're going to repeat the same steps for your other main and lining pieces. And again, we're doing this at the top of your main piece. You don't want to do it at the bottom. Once you have clipped both of them, we're going to take this to our sewing machine and we're going to sew at a 1/4 seam allowance all the way across. So I'm going to be using my 1/4 seam allowance quilting foot. It has a guide right here on the side that helps me be able to sew a perfect 1/4 seam allowance all the time. These are fairly inexpensive on Amazon and I highly recommend it. You see my fabric just lays nicely on the side of that. So remember to backstitch at the beginning and end, and then we're just going to sew all the way across at that 1/4 seam allowance. Now that we have sewn these together, you're gonna put your fabric facing right sides up, and you're gonna take your other main and lining that you sewed up, and you're gonna flip them with the right side facing towards the right side of your other fabric. First, focus on lining up our seam. So you're gonna open up this seam that you sewed right here, and you're gonna open it up on the bottom and top, and then you're just gonna line up that seam. And then you're gonna clip or pin those together. And then you're gonna go all the way to the corner of your lining, and you're gonna line those up at the corner, and then line up all these edges and clip them all the way. You're gonna repeat the same steps for your main, and then you're just gonna keep clipping all the way around. Now that you have pinned it or clipped it all the way around, you're going to focus on creating your casing. So you just want to pay attention to your main fabric piece, because this is where our casing is going to be. We're not going to create the casing through our lining, just the outside main fabric. So you want to get a ruler and you want to decide how far down from the top of your gift bag you want that casing to be. And you want to get a marking tool. I think I want mine to be about 2 inches from the top. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to mark. I'm going to take out these clips right here, and I'm going to mark 2 inches from my seam, and that's going to be where the top of my casing starts. And then depending how big your ribbon is will depend how big you want to make that casing. So I'm going to make my casing 1 inch just to give my ribbon some room, because we are going to have 2 pieces of ribbon going through the same casing, so that we can have a piece of ribbon on each side to be able to open and close our bag. So I'm going to measure 1 inch down from that 2 inch mark that I just created, and that's going to be my casing right there. I'm going to repeat the same steps on the other side. So now that you have your casing opening marked, you're going to start at the bottom of those 2 marks. You're going to backstitch, so all the way across, all the way around your main fabric piece until you get to this bottom line on the other side for your casing opening, and you're going to backstitch there. You're going to start sewing again at this top line, so all the way across your lining. And then you want to make sure you leave an opening. So I suggest having about a 2 inch opening to 2.5 inch opening, and you're going to mark that with marking tools, with the marking pen. And then you're going to backstitch at this mark, Then you're going to start stitching again at the next mark. You're going to back stitch there, and then you're going to keep sewing all the way until you get to the top mark of your casing opening, and you're going to back stitch there. And we're going to do this all at a 1/4 seam allowance. Now that you have sewn it all the way around, you're gonna stick your hand through the opening and start just pulling your fabric through. So you can take your hand, grab one of the corners of your main fabric and just start pulling it through very gently, because you don't want to rip off those stitches. Then you can take something like a chopstick and you can stick it through that opening to pop out your corners in your main fabric. Just kind of use it to press against those seams and poke out those corners. You want to do it very gently, and you're going to do that for both corners in your main piece, as well as your lining. Now that you have done that, you're going to take some clips or a pin and you're going to close up the opening that you left. It will naturally roll in, so you're just going to clip it close. And you can close this by hand if you want by doing a ladder stitch, but I'm just going to take it to my sewing machine and I'm just going to top stitch like at a 1/8 seam allowance, like or a 1/16, very close to the edge to close that off. Okay, now that you have sewn that close, we're going to just open up our main piece like this, and we're going to push that lining inside. And you can take an iron and you can iron the top of it to make this seam lay nice. So now we're going to take our ribbon and we're going to decide how long we want it. So I'm going to take the ribbon and I'm going to see how much of overhang I want. And then I'm just going to place it across and then fold it on the other side at the end of my gift bag right here and bring it back to match where I started. And then I'm just going to cut. And I'm gonna cut another one that matches this one. So now I'm gonna take my lighter and I'm just going to turn it on and place it not directly on the ribbon but by it. And you'll start to see it melt because it is polyester and polyester is plastic. And you're going to do that for both ends of your ribbon. This is just going to seal it so that it does not fray. Take a ruler and we're going to draw out where our casing is going to be. We already have the spots here where we didn't sew. So we're basically going to be lining up the top of that opening we left there on both sides. You can take a marking tool and just mark where that top of the opening is at. On the front and back. On both sides, just like that. And now you're going to take a ruler and just line that up from side to side and mark that with your marking tool. And you're going to do that for your front and back. And now you're going to take this to your sewing machine and you're going to sew all the way across, making sure that you're only sewing one side of your gift bag. So make sure it's open and you're not accidentally sewing it shut. When you mark your lines, you want to make sure that it's something that's erasable, whether it's a water soluble marker, air soluble, or one of the marking tools that erases with heat. You want to make sure you're sewing with a coordinating thread so that you can't see it. Once you have sewn all the way across, you want to get rid of your markings. So now that we have our casing, we're going to take our ribbon with our bobbin on it, and we're going to stick it in through one side, making sure that the shiny side of the ribbon is facing this way. And we're just going to start weeding it through there, threading it through there, making sure that we're keeping it nice and straight the whole time through. When we get to the other side, just gonna keep going all the way until we go back to the side that we came out through. And then we're gonna take off the bodkin or safety pin, and we're just going to tie it. So now we're gonna take our other ribbon, we're gonna put our bodkin or safety pin on one end, and then we're gonna start threading it through the other side, and we're gonna do exactly the same. You have a working drawstring bag. Look at that. So cute. It's just a good way of, quick and easy way of making a cute personalized bag. You can also just do this with HTV if you wanted to. But I love this clear HTV for these. So cute. You did it, you created your own custom gift bag. Super cute. I love that these are reusable. It's a nice personalized way of giving someone their gift. I just love it. So cute. I hope this video was helpful and informative. And please let me know down below how yours turned out. Also let me know any future videos that you would like to see from me. Thank you guys for supporting my channel. Don't forget to check out my membership and my website. On my website, there will be sewing patterns, PDFs, sublimation templates. Go check it out, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.